Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of one of my favorites because it softens up the requirement to use my brain power. It's From the Comments. This is a From the Comments where I don't even have to go outside. This is a From the Comments Servo edition because over time we've collected enough questions and suggestions that we're gonna do just what was directed to me in the comments. We will be featuring 3 servos today, and in no particular order. The first one we will be testing is an AGFRC SA-75V2 V2. This is fresh out of the package. You can tell by both the shininess and the unwillingness of it to bend. I just cut the plastics and pulled it out. And there have been people that have said, well, the reason I don't run direct power servos is because the power of this servo will go down as battery voltage goes down. That's absolutely true. But AGFRC is kind enough to spec the numbers from 11.1 up to 12.6. You see there's about an 80-ounce difference. 80 ounces is not a huge amount. So we are going to test it at 12.6, and we are going to test it at 11.1, and we are going to see if it is indeed 80 ounces or so difference between the two. The low number on here is 542. 542 ounces is plenty. Anything over 500 is basically surplus. So I think what we'll just be giving up is headroom. But I've never tested this, so I want to find out. The next one is we're going to take our good friend, the venerable DS3225SG, and we are going to hook it up. And I looked through the sheets. Here's the papers right here. I could only find the sheet for the Pro. I couldn't find the sheet for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook it up to, I have an apparatus. This was the test apparatus. We've got a 1080. It's got a motor on it. The motor works. But instead of running off of a power pack, we are going to use a dongle that is plugged into the power supply. And we are going to run this off of a mystical 3S pack hooked up to the 1080. So the power supply will be running directly into the 1080. And the radio will be our potentiometer, where I'll just go, heh, and we'll actually see what kind of holding power can we get when it's actually going through the chain. But we will also get to see amp draw because it will be pulling off of this system. So we can precisely regulate the voltage. We can see the amp draw. The servo will be, of course, installed in the test rig, so we will get to see actually how much torque it indeed makes. And then we are going to use the same apparatus to test something that I think need be tested. We've got a particular servo which just went through a test a very short time ago, and at 8.4 volts sucked down an impressive 9 amps. I want to say it was around 8.5 amps that it could pull at 7.4. Well, this is an old 1080. This is not a G2. This is a regular 1080, a legacy, a vintage 1080. So it has settings for 6 volts and 7.4 volts. It is currently set to 7.4 volts. I just double-checked with the card. And we are going to do the same test that we're going to do to this guy. And we're going to see what actually happens when it's hooked to something that, if memory serves, the 1080 has a 3 amp BEC. I think is it 5 amp peak, but like a 3 amp BEC? I know it's not a 1 amp, but like what kind of numbers are we going to see when this thing gets real world power? So they will all be powered off of 12.6 volts to start because I want to give the ESC a fighting chance. I know we potentially risk blowing up a 1080, but this is what we'll do for science. So we're going to do first this guy because it's the easiest, the quickest, and the simplest. We're going to hook this guy up. We are going to give him a shot at 12.6 and 11.1. Also, In the leaderboard, we've got the old SA-75. I've never tested the V2, so this is just incidentally in the comments. I dug through the bin for a direct power servo, and this one was still in the box right on top. So he's getting tested for that. I'm going to set up the rig. I'm going to make sure that this time it's actually in frame. And we are going to do the SA-75V2 at 12.6 and 11.1, and then we will reset, and I will get everything set up to do these. We'll do just a regular off the power supply unlimited amp test for this guy. I'm just going to do 3 pulls at 7.4 to set us a baseline, and then we are going to put him onto this coming off of a radio, and then this guy will do the same thing off of a radio. So if everything goes according to plan, 6, 9, 12. 12 pulls total, and we're back about our business. From the comments, Servo Testing Edition coming at you. But Canyon terminology and standards, our good buddy, the SA-75, is in the realm of premium servos for me. This guy usually goes about $85, and it still remains one of my favorite 3S servos. Makes a lot of torque. It's generally very quiet. We'll give it hear the little tiny bit of hum on there. But like I've said, there's that gear train slack that you'll get in some. You feel no motion at all, just like a little bit of feedback. Running off of a very out of balance. To power the board, a little Urgenics. We've got 12.6 going to the servo. More often than not, when you're spending that extra money, this is what you're paying for, is the speed. What does the box claim? 12.6, 0.09. Yeah, so he's kind of a brisk boy. We're looking for anything at or over 626, plus about 10%. So really, to hit the corrected inch number, I think we want to see about 675. It has been a long time since an SA-75 has gone on the rig, so I have no idea. Going to punch through 3 pulls at 12.6. That'll set us, and then we're going to drop it right down to 11.1. 3 pulls at 11.1. First pull. Let me get this out of the way over here. Very unflexy. First pull. For those who couldn't see, which would be everybody, I need like a mirror or something so that a double mirror. We need a periscope for that. That thing hit over 750 before it kind of, stalled down, as I say. To stall at a disappointing 709.2, which is what? Yeah, 80 ounces over what they claim. 709 ounces on 3S is pretty good. Oh, second 2 pulls, we do the tradition of I'm going to look over here instead of over there. Second pull. You can really hear that. It's like a little jet engine noise. I'm wondering if in the V2 relative to the V1 they're using different pots. 741.5. These are low, and this is all headroom, really. Anything, just rough guess, anything over like 675, 680 is just above manufacturer spec. So it's going to warm up a little bit. There's nothing in it right now. Third and final pull at 12.6. Yeah, it's just going to keep climbing. Finished at 755.0. But I would like to point out that I saw like 790, almost 800 ounces on 3S. That's numbers. So at the full tilt, brand new 3S battery voltage at 12.6 volts, we had an average uncorrected of 735 ounces. That corrected with our correction factor of 92.5% to 680 ounces. So its correction, it corrected to what I was hoping it would at least hit uncorrected. Those are respectively 53 and 49 kilogram. I want to say that AGFRC, in any of the stuff that they claim the numbers, well, I can tell you right now, I could have just done the math. Yeah, 45. This claims a 45 kilo servo, and I love manufacturers that underspec because it's realistically more about a 50 kilo servo. But wouldn't it be wonderful for all of us if they all put it on the machine, pulled the torque, and then just dropped all the numbers by 10%, so that when we got it home we were pleasantly surprised, what I call Fosgating it, the Rockford Fosgate principle. Let us pull this horn off momentarily to take a look at hum. A little quieter, still there. Speed, I mean, it's still, what do they claim it slows to? They claim it slows to 0.105, so it gets 10% slower. And we're probably looking at about 10% less torque as well. We will see. It is holding wonderfully at 11.1. We have a tiny amp and wattage draw, which is mostly board. Let's see what we can do at 11.1. So this is all the way at the end of the pack. What are you going to be getting out of your direct power servo at 11.1 volts? Well, let's find out. I saw it hit around 640, and it came to a stop at 610.8. So that is the number. That's a number pretty close. That's pretty close. Is that pretty close? Not as much headroom as we were seeing at 12.6. But we'll see. Is it going to creep or is it going to drop? Second pull. That was well above 700 and settled at 685.2. We go by averages. So that first pull at 611. I mean, that 685 pull is nuts. That's nuts. So we might go against the grain and throw away that low score if the third and what should be the final pull, not an ounce. It's still cold from the box that it was in. Third and final pull. That is within 5 ounces of the last pull, 679.8. Let's we'll go. I said we were going to go against the grain. Let's give it a bonus pull at 11.1. We do see it's a lot more consistent. So I'm just going to we're just going to erase the 610. I like it. I like a consistency. If y'all want, you can do the math. So by discarding what I considered to be that exceptionally low 610.8, could have been me, maybe I rolled into it, whatever it was, and replacing it with the 662.9, they gave us an average uncorrected of 676 ounces, which after the 92.5% correction factor is 625. And what did this servo claim at 12.6? 626, which is 45 kilos. So this servo effectively at approaching cutoff, at nominal voltage, makes what it claims. It claims ounces inch 626, and it made 625 at 11.1 volts. So if we go by the corrected numbers of an average at 12.6 volts of 680 ounce inches, and we go by a corrected average of 625 at 11.1, this servo is making 92% of its max power at 11.1 volts. So it drops 8%. Now, if you've got some other cheaper servo that's using lower end tech or lower quality componentry, that drop might be bigger. But this is a servo, and again, why the SA-75 is one of my favorite servos. 625 ounces is more than enough. We never even start to dip into, we never get close to the numbers they state. We're 80 plus ounces over it all the time. It makes the 12.6 volt stated spec power at 11.1 volts. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to a servo, you honestly cannot hope for a better result than that. because not only does it make what they say it will make, but it makes what they say it will make at here. They claim it at 12 and it makes it 11. What a great servo. That's Clank's servo, by the way. I need to reconfigure this apparatus to get the radio and the receiver in here. And we will start with this guy, because I don't need to move these wires yet. We're going to start with this guy, 7.4 volts, and then we'll move them over to the radio. As I am 100% certain I have mentioned in the past, the 3225, we just call it the Amazon Blue Case, is a servo that gives you big numbers. It's gonna annihilate the 35 kg. I mean, let's remember that 45 kg is 625 ounces. If memory serves, this is going to hit right around that. Uncorrected, but it's going to hit right around that. And that's 140 ounces over spec. Would you sit on 7.4 and stay? But what do we sacrifice for this? Because it is inexpensive, and that inexpensiveness gets you this. It is not fast. It is slow. I think the rating might be 0.2 seconds. It is half the speed of the SA-75. Now, as this servo tends to go around $30 and can be found even cheaper than that, the ounces per dollar for this guy tends to be bonkers, like really high. The only thing that's been higher is the Tiangong MG996R, because that servo somehow manages to make about 340 ounces, but costs $5. So it's like 70 ounces per dollar or something, which no legit servo is going to come close to a number like that. Big, high 1,000-ounce servos are usually in the like 6 to 7 ounces per dollar arena. So let's see what this guy can do given unlimited amps. First pull. Surprisingly, 456.5. Maybe I'm mentally conflating the SG and the Pro, because that's 450 is 32, 33 kilos, somewhere around there. I didn't look at the amps. Second two pulls, we'll look at the amps. So 450. Still $30, 450. We're not doing too bad. Second pull. Yeah, and the consistency is definitely there. 467.7. Because 40 ounces would be 10%, 4 ounces would be 1%. So the second pull is within 3%. It's not bad. It's not bad. Also, let me start there. I don't know if it'll make a difference, but third and final pull, that consistency is too high. Final pull at 7.1, 7.41, unregulated, amps-wise. And I think I saw like 3.1 amps. This is a servo I have long said, and will continue to say well into the future, everyone should just have a 3225 SG lying around. You should just have one. If you're starting a build, this is a fantastic servo, if just for during the build process. 463.9, and that is consistency. All right, we averaged 463 ounces right there. The lowest was 456 and the highest was 467. That corrected to 428 ounces, which are respectively 33.3 and 30.9 kg. These are respectable numbers. We've got everything set up here. I realize now some of it is slightly out of frame. So we've got an XT60 coming out, running to here. 12.6 volts out of the power supply, which is running the 1080. We've got very, very fast. We can also do this. We can watch the wattage of the motor. Yeah, I mean, this is why we can get away with 60 amp connectors, as this thing unloaded, mind you. 17 watts at 1.3 amps. So really, in a crawler system, unless you're fully loaded up, I think in most situations, the servo is actually probably pulling harder on the stuff than the motor is. So we're not going to mess with the motor. We're just going to have to remember that it's this way. Because I'm going to go. Now this will be much more of a real world situation, because when you hit the switch, it just goes full lock. We can try this. We can do this thing. I can set it to a momentary for either switch D or switch A and just have the servo zap. We'll see. We'll see how it does off the wheel. I'm kind of most curious as to this full real worldy situation of using the wheel. Now I have to remember, turn towards myself, because if we go the other way, it is strong enough to break the scale. So 12.6 volts in. This is running off the internal BEC. We had a uncorrected average of 463 and a voltage BEC. I need to remember these things. First turn at 7.4. Well, 484.8. That's not did anybody have that in the over under? Did anybody see that coming? I certainly did not. Second turn at BEC voltage. Oh, I do like the just centering. 480.4. I don't know who the champ is here. I don't know if the champ is this guy or this guy. Oh. Does that move? I haven't looked. We'll look this time. Third and final pull. 7.4 off the BEC. Yes, it does. 478 even. And the amps were hovering right under 3 amps, which I guess is the BEC doing its thing. 3 amp BEC. Editor will get a better look at the numbers. So my good buddy, the DS3225SG, made an uncorrected average over 3 pulls off of a 7.4 volt BEC of 481 ounces, which corrected to 445 ounces, which are 34.7 and 32 kg respectively, which means he made about an additional kilo, an additional 14 ounces off of the BEC compared to just an unregulated power supply. I don't know. Do I need to start testing them all using a radio instead of the board? I don't know. Like, we get really consistent numbers off of the board, but we just got higher numbers off of regulated power. That's, like, I thought it was going to go down a little bit, not a lot, but it was going to go down a little bit. I did not see it going up 3-ish%. That's, in my mind, that is certainly an unanticipated result. I'm going to pull out this 35 kg out, and I'm going to put this, I think they rate this at 35 kg as well. It might be a 40, 35 or 40. We're going to put this guy in, and we're going to see what he can do in 3 pulls in the exact configuration before you. While hooking this guy up, I was reminded of why. We've still, it's right here on the same sheet. We've got all of his 7.4 volt numbers, which were tested very, very recently. And this guy typically costs about 50% more than our buddy the blue case. He draws a ton more amps, but that's why. Also, here's what's fun. If we just dump it, watch the watts. I see around 70 watts, and then we'll just drop down. Now it has a pinion gear on it, so you're not going to get me to try to slow that down. That's not happening. But it does make me wonder, can we make some kind of a dyno? Is that possible? Like, if we just had a strap and the motor was trying to pull on this, would we be able to see how many pounds of torque the motor is making? Is that a thing? Somebody with a proper knowledge of engineering, let me know. Like, if I made a different bolt down here that we could put a motor into and have it just try to pull this, is that, because I know they measure torque differently. Like for this. Or do they? I don't know. Anyway, let's get this guy bolted up. 7.4. Do we expect similar results? I don't know. I have no speculations at this time, as the blue case. Okay, same direction. It's very quick. It's very quick. So this is, oh yeah. We're pencil. All right. This is we just call it the 009. And this is off of BEC voltage at 7.4 volts. I am going to make a determined effort to watch the amps. Like, if they go under 3, then obviously the BEC does not draw more than 3. And we will see how that affects the torque of this beastie boy. First turn, and I call it a turn because we're turning, at 7.4 volts off of BEC power. All right, I didn't see anything, I think I saw something in the 2s. 594.1. For those who have not seen it or can't remember, the first pull at 7.4 off of the power supply was 586.2. So we went up 8 ounces, half a kilo, just under half a kilo. We're not going to make any heat here. Are we going to make any heat here? No. We're not making any heat anywhere. Second pull, BEC. It didn't even go above 2. 611.6, which again, second pull last time around was 605.3. So we went up 6 ounces. It is a day of unanticipated results. Third and final turn at 7.4. It goes like 1.9. It just sits 1.9 amps. It never went above it. 625.3. I can tell you right now, that's more than it made. That's more than it made off of unregulated power. So our good friend, the when unregulated 009, averaged 593 uncorrected and 549 corrected. That was off of the power supply. Coming through the 1080, it averaged 610 uncorrected and 564 corrected, 44 kilos and 40 kilos respectively. And this is a servo that is rated at 40 kilos. It makes it dead. It just hits it dead. 40 kilos. Actually, was it 35 or 40? I want to say it's 40. It might have been 35. If it's 35, it beats it all around. If it's 40, it just kills it. It hits it dead. The most anticipated result of the day was watching this apparatus with this servo in it not go above 2 amps. Actually, the blue case got closer to 3, like 2.8. How do BECs even work? You know what? I want to do one more thing. While we're here, let's give the same treatment to this guy. Let's just do a pull or two at 11.1. Take the battery down to nominal voltage. How is that going to impact this? Because that just occurred to me. We watched a direct power go down. Will this go down? The amp availability should be the same, and it's being regulated by an internal battery eliminator circuit. So everything should be the same. We should see something in the right in the 600 ounce area. I gabbed too long and it turned off. But we don't know till we know. So let's go off the BEC at 11. Oh, now I got to hold on. So now I got to write down. I'll forget this later. 12.6, and then this is BEC 11.1. The beauty of servo test is everything moves linearly, so you can just translate everything over. So here's the Pulse Pro at 11.1. I'm just going to watch the amps. Okay, so amps went up to right around 2. So amps went up 5%. It's about a 5% increase in amps. 593.9, which is 0.2 ounces different from the other. Are we going to establish a sea change? Is that what's going to happen here? Because from full voltage to nominal voltage, a direct power servo loses about, it was around 10%. Right about 10%. Little under 9, it was 8%, right? 91.9. 8% loses 8%. You know what this loses? Nothing. So I get it. But the other guy's making over 100 ounces more. So there's, I don't know. That's a violently strong showing for that. We might as well just do all 3. Yeah, right there at 2 amps. 2 out of 3. 602.3. By the way, yeah, it's like, it was 605.3 running off the power supply. That's a 0.5%. Let's do the final one so I can do some math. Right there, just 2 amps, 599.3. If anything, it got slightly more consistent at the lower voltage. So our good buddy, the 009, going from a 12.6 volt input to an 11.1 input, averaged 599 ounces uncorrected, corrected to 553. That is 43 and 39.8 kilograms respectively, which is a loss of torque of exactly, as close enough as to be exactly 2%. Drops by 2%. So the argument for receiver-powered servos is definitely there. It certainly is. This thing pulled 8 amps, and 7.93 amps when given unregulated, and made almost the exact same numbers. It made 593 correcting to 549, and this thing just made 599 correcting to 553. 4 ounces out of 550 is that a percent? Yeah, that's just under 1%. I don't know. If somebody knows, let me know. If you can explain to me how we can take 7 amps of power, how can it make the same torque at 2 amps that it was making at 8 amps? I don't know. What's happening right now? I'm taking this servo out of the machine. But what's happening alongside with that, quietly, stabbingly, inside my brain, is what, how? I have a lot of direct power servos. And now I'm like, this servo is inexpensive. The 3225 is inexpensive. That drop, the power going up when amps went down. I don't know. I feel like moving forward, I feel like this stuff now belongs to the power supply. I think we're gonna have to test everything this way, because I mean the numbers are more consistent than what's coming off the board. This isn't even in the same realm of what I would have anticipated. These guys live here now. I don't know. I have nothing to add, everybody. I am trying to process this. I do have something to add. This is why the comments are just absolutely the best. It's like my buddy, the guy who is the gentleman behind the Colonel, the GFO, Diablo. He just sits over there. There's a chair right over here. There's a chair right over here. He just sits in that chair and he listens to me ramble and rant, and he listens to me building stuff and putting stuff together. And then he'll just say something, and it's what I call the outside perspective. I'm inside of it, so I can't see it. I wouldn't think to do things. I would have never thought to put holds on the Ghost Rover until somebody suggested it. They were like, what about tusks versus holds? And I was like, okay. And the holds were better enough as to be significantly better, and prompted me to do that tire change. We don't know until we know. And I won't think to look for it unless somebody gives me the suggestion to go and look for it. So thank you so much. If you were one of those people over the time has commented anything that got used today, how much power does a direct power servo lose? Well, in the case of the one we tested today, about 8%. And how much does a conventional receiver-powered servo lose under the same conditions? About 2%. So that's 4 times as much. It's 4 times as big of a drop. Now, we have a sample size here of 1. We tested one servo against another, well, with the 3225 in the middle. But the real voltage drop stuff was just the SA-75 versus the 009. And we can take away this is anecdotal. About 8% on a direct power and about 2% on receiver powered. You can't go wrong, I don't think, with any of those servos. The DS, I'm sorry, is it the DS? Yes, the DSB 009C is certainly recommended. Once I watched it pull just 2 amps out of the BEC and make the exact same numbers, I'm still trying to figure out, I'm going to be trying to figure out how that works. Is there something in the circuitry in the middle that we're not seeing? I don't know. We're not going to figure it out today. For today, all I'm going to say is thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much for commenting. Commenters, comment away. Please do take the opportunity, take a moment out of your day to like and subscribe. Consider channel membership if you are in the position to help support the channel monetarily. Check out the affiliate links below if there happen to be any. Hey, get yourself a t-shirt. There's a link to that as well. I'll be adding more t-shirt designs as we go. Designs and like stuff on the back. People have started to request some stuff on the back. And I will do that. I will do that. I will also see you in the next one, and I will request right now here at the closing of this one that you one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody, in between now and when we meet again. And I will see you later from the canyon. I have concrete under all of my fingernails. I'll see you next time.